Hi, so today I want to talk a little bit about the history of chelation, kind of where it evolved and where we are today in terms of the routes of administration, etc. Chelation started in the can be traced back into Germany in the 1930s, but it really didn't become prominent in terms of a medical procedure until the 1940s and 50s. There was a lot of guys who painted ships for the Navy. The U.S. Navy in World War II, they were using the lead-based paint. They got really, really sick. So they had to figure out a way to get these guys clean. Well, they did using the chelation therapy, but one of the ancillary benefits that nobody really expected was these guys had a tremendous benefit, upward benefit in their cardiovascular function. So the guys the doctors who were involved with the cardiovascular, they saw this, and it didn't go unnoticed to them. And what they did is they started to do chelation therapy for a lot of other people, but it never caught mainstream. It still stayed on the kind of like the on the alternative side. That actually continues even today with alternative doctors who are big believers in chelation therapy. But it's still, again, it's still on the alternative side. The mainstream chelation is going to be if you're acutely toxic with lead. If you go to the doctor, if you go to the emergency room and you're acutely toxic, they will do a chelation therapy on you. But it's just one, just to relieve the body burden from the heavy metal. But because people were having such success from the cardiovascular standpoint, on the alternative side, there was several people who wanted to do some things with chelation in foreign countries in the third world, but they didn't know how to do it. Oral EDTA is somewhat effective, but EDTA is a synthetic amino acid, and the molecule is very, very sensitive to the acidic environment of the stomach. And as a result, taking oral EDTA is, you are going to get some absorption, but it's going to be very, very minimal. That's the primary reason why it's done intravenously. Well, there was a rather forward-thinking doctor who decided, hey, let's put this into a suppository. And they did. They put this into a suppository, and they treated a bunch of children down in the Dominican Republic, and I think this was in the late 90s, early 2000s. They had a tremendous amount of success with that, so they said, well, wait a second, if it's going to work for these children, why will it not work for adults? So hence the suppository route of administration was born. And keep in mind, people are still using the EDTA orally, but again, just not as effectively as the suppository. It wasn't until like the late 2000s, early 2010s, when the cream came about. The cream was really kind of in its infancy in about, I want to say, like 2014, but now the cream is actually out there and it's very prominent. The cream is very, very effective. It's a low dose compared to the suppository. It's about a third the dose of the suppository, and the suppository is about half the dose, typically speaking, of an IV. An IV is anywhere from 2 to 3 grams generally. Suppository route of administration is going to be anywhere from 700 milligrams to anywhere up to like 1,500 milligrams. I know that there are some out there that are up to 2 grams. I typically don't like to. I wouldn't advise people use more than 1,500 milligrams of the EDTA at one time. The cream is about 350 to 450 milligrams dosage, depending on the cream that you get. That's available in the marketplace. The cream is, in my opinion, is one of the very, very best ways you can do it. Number one is that you do not have the negative connotation, and anybody will rub cream on their body. Not very many people like to take suppositories. It's just not a very glamorous route of administration. But the cream, if you use the cream consistently, it could be used daily. It could be used twice daily. You do that daily, you have a consistent low dose of EDTA that is assisting your body taking care, or helping your body get rid of some of the heavy metals. Again, it's very important, if you do decide to do any one of these chelation routes of administration, you must replenish your minerals, because the EDTA will, it's a non-discriminate chelator. It's going to take out both good minerals as well as some of the bad metals. So I hope you found this information informative, and if you have any questions or anything, please comment below.